Welcome to my brand new mini lecture series about living well with Parkinson's, where we talk about science-backed ways to live the best life you can with Parkinson's disease. My name is Twyla. I'm a doctor of physical therapy with specialized training in neurologic conditions, and my mission is to empower people with Parkinson's to take back control through movement and health strategies. In today's mini lecture, we're talking about exercise, specifically why you need to start where you are and not where you see other people starting around you. With Parkinson's, you already know you should be exercising. You've heard it from your neurologist, read it in articles, seen it recommended in all kinds of support groups. Exercise is medicine. It can slow progression, it can reduce symptoms, and help you stay independent for longer. You know all of this. But then you get on social media looking for inspiration on where and how to start, and you see someone with Parkinson's crushing a gym workout, running marathons, dancing, and there's that little voice or maybe a big voice in your head saying, there is no way in hell my body can do that. So then you don't start, or you try once and you quit because it feels impossible. And what I hear all the time are things like, I've never been able to do that, or that's just not me. Or even worse, most people with Parkinson's can't do that. But the barrier isn't that you're not capable of doing something like that. It's that you're trying to jump in at mile 10 of a marathon that you've literally never trained for. You're watching someone who's probably been working at this for months or years, and you're trying to start where they are without the foundation, without the progression, without any of the work it took them to get there. Of course, it feels impossible. So, where should you start then? Let's talk about what the research actually recommends. Parkinson's research shows that 150 minutes per week of moderate to vigorous exercise improves symptoms. And no, it's not just cardio. The research also includes exercises that target strength, balance, agility, brain health, and flexibility. So for aerobic exercise, the recommendation is 3 days per week of 30-minute sessions. For strength training, 2 to 3 times per week. For balance and agility, 2 to 3 times per week. And stretching, honestly, daily. So yes, there are specific recommendations for exercise that's been proven to work for Parkinson's, but the path to get to that point should be individualized. But what does it even mean to individualize? It starts with understanding that when the research says moderate to vigorous, this is entirely relative to you. Not to your neighbor, not to your friend who has Parkinson's, not to the support groups online. It is you that we're basing moderate to vigorous intensity on. So when people hear these words, they assume it means destroy yourself, work out so hard you drop. But it doesn't. In research, moderate to vigorous usually means 60 to 80% of your heart rate reserve. Or if you don't track heart rate, about 14 to 17 out of 20 on a perceived exertion scale. Here's what that looks like for most people. You should be breathing harder than normal. You should also feel like you're working, but you should also be able to sustain it for the full session and recover afterward without your symptoms flaring or the rest of your week falling apart. If you're barely breathing, it's probably too light. If you're able to have conversations and laugh and sing and talk, again, probably too light. But on the other end, if you're completely wrecked and can't function the next day and you have pain all over your body and soreness and stiffness, it is too much. The goal is to find the sweet spot where exercise feels appropriately challenging and also repeatable and safe, and avoiding basing your starting point on what someone else is doing around you. This last point is why a lot of people get discouraged. While the internet can be a fantastic resource for support and education, it can also be a source of comparison and self-judgment. And discouragement can be a big problem when your expectations jump ahead of your body's current capacity. So if your plan is too intense too soon because you want to look like so and so online, you might get symptom flare-ups, fatigue, aches or injuries, or just trouble staying consistent. And then exercise stops being something that builds confidence and adds to this proof that you're somehow behind. And that's the story you start telling yourself. And it's a big one to have to unlearn. So, starting where you are helps fix this because then you give yourself permission to build something sustainable. It's not about grand showcases of strength or endurance. Your progress is actually built on the backs of tiny intentional actions that add up over time. Maybe that looks like taking your dog on a walk daily. Maybe it's a commitment to standing up to stretch after every hour of work instead of working hours at a time without standing. Maybe it's having to modify an exercise to get it to benefit you instead of forcing yourself to do it the way that you saw it online. These aren't lesser versions of exercise, they're the foundation. And when the foundation is solid, you can actually build on it. One session you complete that feels manageable then leads to another, and then another, and eventually you have a pattern, and that pattern becomes something you can progress from rather than something that wipes you out. This is also why guidance matters, especially with Parkinson's. Not because you can't exercise on your own, but because intentional progression matters. Parkinson's changes how the body responds to things like stress, load, fatigue, balance, and recovery. And it helps to have someone on your side who gets that, who understands that your Tuesday might look different from your Thursday, and who knows how to meet you where you are. That's where something like Parkinson's coaching comes in. As a coach, I help people stay accountable to the progress they want to make and help bridge the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it consistently and safely in real life. So if you've tried to start before and it didn't stick, here's what I want you to hear. You did not fail. The difference between someone who builds a sustainable exercise practice and someone who burns out isn't usually because of willpower or discipline or motivation or some kind of character trait. It's about having a plan that actually fits where you are right now. Not where you were 5 years ago, not where someone else is online, where you are today. And that's where we start, and that's how we build something that lasts. If this was helpful for you or someone you know to hear, please feel free to share it and follow for more Parkinson's focused lectures that help you build strength, confidence, and real life momentum. And if you're ready to find your starting point with a plan or just have questions, leave a comment below, reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or email. I'm here. Again, my name is Twyla. I'm a Parkinson's wellness coach and neurologic physical therapist, and I help empower people to live the lives they want to live.